this is Kindness is Not Weakness. I'm here with Siobhan Gournay. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Siobhan, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're here because you have some Ukrainian ladies living with you. But let's go back a little bit before that. Tell us about your career path. You've always sort of been in roles helping people.
Yeah, for about 20 years, I fell into care work, really, because I needed I had small children, I needed some independence. I was in a very violent marriage, and I just needed to get my own money. And I really didn't think I'd enjoy it, but I absolutely loved it. And I've just gradually worked my way up, and I've been in various roles since. As a trainer, I've been a care manager, so I've managed care agencies, and I've also managed a children's home, a therapeutic home.
Wow, that's wonderful. And how did you come to have 3 Ukrainian ladies living in your house?
I'm not sure, really. I think I knew as soon as the Homes for Ukraine scheme was spoken about. I think I knew I was going to participate. I'd had a difficult start to the year. I'd lost a close friend, and my estranged husband had passed away. And my daughter and I were actually up in Edinburgh at my husband's funeral the day the scheme launched. I'd already put my name to a few refugee sites, and I just said to Olivia the evening of the funeral, should we do it? And she said, yeah. Initially, I was going to take on an elderly lady. Her daughter lived in America, and because of her mum's health conditions, would not have been able to take her over to America because of issues with health insurance. Unfortunately, she couldn't get her mother out of Kiev, so I took on a young 21-year-old lady. She arrived a month later in April. She's wonderful. She had a job after 12 days, still working hard, hoping to go back to her architecture degree next year. And then a few weeks after that, the daughter of the elderly lady begged me to take her mum because her sponsorship had broken down. She was living with a really unpleasant lady, and what was going on was kind of bordering on modern slavery, I would say. So the elderly lady was actually in hospital. She had nowhere to go from hospital, so I agreed to take her. The daughter has also found another Ukrainian refugee we brought over on the scheme, who she pays to look after mum. So hence there being 3 ladies who were, prior to the war, completely unconnected to each other. But we all get on wonderfully. So I've been very lucky.
Oh, that's lovely. It's shocking that people would take somebody like that and mistreat them. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I belong to various groups and forums, and it's happening. It's not happening in most cases, but it's happening at an alarmingly high incidence, definitely,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, things like this will, obviously just, highlights how many wonderful people we've got. But at the same time, it's also going to show some of the worst parts of society.
So what motivated you to sacrifice your own comforts and convenience and open your doors to strangers that you've never met, that I believe the older lady or the carer for the older lady doesn't even speak English?
Yeah.
So why? What motivated you to do that?
I don't really see it as giving up any comforts, really. I'm quite a low maintenance, simple person, really. And although I brought my children up with a lot of boundaries, actually, around being kind to people and making the most of their skills, and you know, just I just wanted them to be good people doing something that they enjoyed. So aside from that, we weren't the sort of family that had to sit down at 5:30 for dinner, which wasn't possible actually because of the nature of my job. And it's something that they asked me, the refugees, when they came, or I should say my guests, I do call them my guests, is they all asked me, what are the rules? There isn't really any, you know. There's some things that I think is quite obvious, you know, don't play loud music in the middle of the night, and, you know, clear up after yourself. But I don't think I really needed to say that, because I didn't want to treat them, you know, as if they didn't already have those sort of morals. And actually, there's not really much I've had to say to them. You know, it's more about the way we live. So, like some really the embarrassing subjects I know a lot of hosts have had about not putting toilet paper in the bin. You can actually flush it down the toilet. But that's because their sewage system isn't as good as ours. So, but I'm quite easygoing, so it's not really been that difficult, to be honest. So maybe I'm lucky with the people I've got here, and you know, when we do sort of pass each other, we'll, you know, always stop for conversations and sit in the garden and chat, and then we kind of just go to our own areas and do our own thing. No one seems to encroach on anyone, but at the same time, we give each other the time of day as well. It just works.
Yeah. What have been some of the challenges? Have there been times where it's been hard?
Yes. With the elderly lady and not having the support we were supposed to have. And although I do work in social care and I've known where to go to ask for things, it's been difficult. It's and although I do work for the local authority as well with social services, I've been acutely aware for years that, you know, things are very difficult for families of disabled and elderly people, but to actually be on that side of it has been eye-opening. But we got there in the end. We did get there in the end.
She has Parkinson's, right?
She has Parkinson's, yeah, and it just seems to be progressing. She's had it for some years, so, and I know the nature of Parkinson's both from work and because my grandfather had Parkinson's, although my grandfather lived quite a fulfilled life and died at 93, so I'm aware she at 75 years old could, you know, there could be some years of struggles ahead, and I don't foresee her leaving, to be honest. So it looks like we're in it for the long haul. I can't see her going back to Ukraine anytime soon.
So do you think she would then live with you for the rest of her life?
If things don't improve in Ukraine, yeah.
It doesn't look like they're going to anytime soon.
No, and I think I knew that from the start. I knew. I think we all knew within a few weeks that this war was not going to come to an end anytime soon. So, I think I knew if I took this lady in, I'd be in it for the long haul, to be honest.
Okay, so you didn't go into it expecting, she'll be here for a couple of weeks and then she'll go back home?
No, I did speak to the social worker about her being put on a housing list for special needs housing, but because she wants a living carer, they don't provide housing for people who want that. She would have to go into residential care, and she adamantly doesn't want to go into residential care. And I feel very strongly that people who don't want to go into residential care shouldn't, unless they've lost their mental capacity and, you know, they're becoming a risk, i.e. someone with dementia or severe mental health problems. But no, there's no reason she should go into a home, and if I can help that to not happen, then I will.
That's amazing, really, to just take on an older stranger with such big health challenges and say, well, she's probably going to live with me for the rest of her days. That's above and beyond, I think, that what 99% of the population would do.
Well, according to the daughter, she couldn't find anyone else on the refugee list, because you do have to put in what you're willing to accept. She said she literally couldn't find anyone, and neither could social services, actually, when she was in hospital. Couldn't find anyone at all anywhere in London or the South East that was willing to take on an elderly person. But I suppose because I kind of professionally know how to deal with this sort of stuff, and I have got a disabled brother who lives happily at home. I know we have a lot more support in place to not only make the life of disabled people better, but the people around them more importantly. So I knew it would never come to me having to give up work, or having to stay up through the night and things like that. I know support's in place, but I understand it's a big commitment, but I think that tugged on my heartstrings a little bit more, actually, to be honest, the fact that no one else will do it. And I think, I'm the sort of mental person who would go, well, I'll do it then.
And from your professional background as well, like you say, you were probably more equipped to deal with it than other people would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, definitely.
Going back to that day at the funeral where you discussed this with your daughter and you said, are we going to do this? If you knew on that day everything you know now, would you still do it? Would you do it again?
Yes, absolutely. I'd have the power of foresight, though. So I think I would have been the one thing I would have done, having knowing what I know now, is when the lady was discharged from hospital in London, I would have gone to the hospital and ensured that they had done what they said they were going to do, which they didn't actually. And I know it's a very good hospital. I'm not going to name and shame, but I'm sure they were busy. But if they had just made the referrals from that point of view, and it happens at work all the time, we take clients from hospital discharges and things aren't done in hospitals that are promised. But that's the only thing I would change, and that's just with the benefit of foresight. But I'd absolutely still do it.
What is the most rewarding thing for you in doing something like this?
Actually just seeing them using the house like they've always lived here. I love that. I feel like they're just settled. I know they're homesick, particularly the older two. But it's nice that sometimes they ask me things and I say, you don't have to ask me that, but that's really rewarding. Just to see that they've got some quality of life, because I think living somewhere and feeling like you're in a hotel or you're living with someone who isn't very tolerant would just make things so difficult. But it's nice to see that they're happy and settled.
To me, all the conversations that I've had with you and what you told me about your personal life, you raised your 3 kids, you're very close to them still, you're obviously a very strong and resilient person. Do you think that your kindness and your empathy and your resilience comes from the tough times that you've been through? To me, you are the embodiment of kindness is not weakness because of the type of person you are. And do you think that is from what you've been through?
Yeah. And I actually, people do take advantage. And I have had friends and colleagues and acquaintances in the past who've taken advantage of the fact that they know I do tolerate a lot from people. But I do have a point where I go bang. And I think that point is shorter now. But I do see it as a strength. I know other people don't. I know there's people who probably think, I need to toughen up. And that probably includes, people that I love very dearly. But you can be tough. You can be tough as well as considerate and kind. You can. It's very difficult finding that balance. And the one thing I've read recently that I really like is the word no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
So you don't have to say, no, I'm sorry, but I can't. You just go, no.
Yeah, so, you don't have to justify your boundaries.
Exactly that. It takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
But I think maybe experiences I've had. I've got very kind parents and family and siblings. So and I don't know, maybe that is all of our upbringings as well. Maybe a small part of it's genetics. A lot of my family are in some sort of job that requires you looking out for the well-being of people. So my dad's a professor of psychology. My mum was a nurse, and then a nursing home manager. My sister's a nurse. My aunt's a teacher. My uncle was a policeman. So maybe a bit of genetics, maybe a bit of upbringing, but definitely my experiences. I think I've had some therapy, and one thing that I think therapists has concluded is that I just don't want to see people go through difficult times. It upsets me.
Yeah.
It upsets me.
You just have to maintain. It took me a long time to learn to have boundaries as well and not give away too much of myself. You have to protect your own mental health as well. But I think it takes strength to be a kind person in this day and age. Like you say, it's not always encouraged. Often people will discourage you from it. They'll say you're too soft, too sensitive, you're weak, you shouldn't care about, all these people, you can't save the whole world. It takes strength to stay a kind person in this society. And it takes strength because people do take advantage of you. And it's not always easy to take in Ukrainians or, whatever you're doing. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. And, I've become acutely aware that people are very proud of saying quite unkind things, and things like facts don't care about your feelings. And, and people are quite proud of these statements. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I will drive myself mad trying to work out people's motivations and how their mind works. So I try not to.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a wonderful conversation. I think it's really going to help people out there.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so that it's not, if at times people are feeling like they're being treated badly, and is it worth bothering to do anything for anyone? Don't give up who you feel like you are deep down.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep on. The world, I think the world is progressively getting a bit kinder. I think people are starting to wake up to it, and people are starting to find each other. Like I found you and some of the other guests as well that have been on here, and you build your little kindness tribe, and together the changes become bigger.
You hope so. Yeah,
I think the world is slowly changing. I hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
Do you want to recommend a book to us, a book that everybody needs to read that's just going to change our lives? No pressure.
Yes. Actually, it's probably in my top 5. Some of my other top books is very weird. I've got quite I do like things that are quite bleak. So some of my other recommended books probably not on this theme, like The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is post-apocalyptic, and Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks, which has got all the awful terrors of World War I in it. But actually a book on this theme that I do actually love is a book called Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Kind. Fine. It's completely fine. And it definitely has, although when you start reading it, she's quite a prickly character, and the book doesn't resonate or speak kindness, but if you can get through it, and it is beautifully written, that is the theme, I think, is acceptance and tolerance and kindness, but highly recommended. And of course, an obvious one, the Kite Runner. I love the Kite Runner as well.
Yes, I love the Kite Runner as well.
But Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I recommend it, Taryn.
Great. I'm going to add it to my Amazon wish list right now.
Get it on your list. It's amazing.
Definitely. That's
Let me
awesome.
know what you think.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
No, lovely to chat to you. Speak to you soon.
Too.
Your
Bye.
support helps me work towards positive change. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.